Welcome, gamers, to Basement Arcade Pause Menu, the show where we hit pause, sit back, and just chill. I am your host, Ben Magnet, and today joining me on the show are two dudes from an awesome show all the way on the other continent. When I say other continent, I mean the one east of the United States from Europe. These guys are awesome. I love listening to their show. It is Dylan and Adrian from Arcade Attack. Welcome to the show, guys.
Ben, you legend. Thank you.
Thanks, Ben. Sorry, just for your viewers, listeners, I'm Dylan. He's Adrian.
Yep.
But yes, guys, thanks for having us, mate.
Thanks for coming on the show. I've been listening to your show for the past few months, right before you guys went on a hiatus. And I was listening. How the heck did I find you guys? I want to say it was through something on Twitter. I saw a tweet from one of, I think, the main Arcade Attack, Twitter, and I was like, man, another retro gaming podcast. Sure, I'll give this a listen, because luckily at my job, I am able to listen to podcasts because it helps keep my sanity and from my soul getting crushed. And I'm listening to this. I'm like, man, these guys are really cool. And then I'm looking through your episode list. I'm like, holy crap. They interviewed him. They interviewed Tom Kalinske. They interviewed all these people that I want to get on the show. How the hell did they do that?
We nag people.
Yeah,
Ben.
we just keep bullying them. We say, please come on our show. Please come on our
Please.
Well, I've been nagging you guys too. I've been on Twitter. I'm like, yo, so collab when?
Yeah, we did that. And I was like, okay, let's try and work this out. So we're actually, like, we record our podcasts in bulk, like our chatty ones. So we thought, well, we're meeting up today anyway. I was like, oh, let's wake up Ben nice and early. And then we'll get him on first before the boys come round. And then, yeah. That's how we're here. Yeah. We're here. Yeah. You can see my kitchen in the background. It's very professional. Very professional.
Well, if people listening to this on audio, they don't see anything. So
you can see, guys, on audio. We're in my kitchen almost.
And you can imagine there's a crocodile, isn't there, just behind.
Got a crocodile head. Yeah.
Got like a little toy crocodile thing. Although I feel bad because that intro was a little bit botched. It's 9 o'clock in the morning. Full transparency. For me, it's 9 o'clock in the morning. I just woke up less than an hour ago. But yeah, you guys are the second guest from England I have. I've had two people on from Australia on the show, and this is the second time I've had someone from jolly old England. So time zones are a thing, but at the same time, it's like I got so many awesome people to talk to thanks to internet and Twitter. It's like I'll wake up.
Mate, thank you. Thank you for doing that.
It's crazy, isn't it? Only 15 years ago, talking to someone across the globe would be very expensive. And
do you remember how bad Skype was as well? And that was the only thing we had.
I have horror stories from Skype. Okay, not really horror stories, but I do remember one of my friends. When she went up to school in San Francisco for a good month and a half, we would have weekly Skype meetings, just talking to each other because she's homesick. She wanted someone to talk to. She needed friends, and I wasn't doing anything. So I'm like, yeah, sure, let's talk. And there are times where the video got very scattered,
fragmented.
Yeah, very fragmented, very jittery, and it just wasn't very good.
It started off really great, right? Every Skype call would start off like, wow, amazing, and then it just be like, rip, bap, rip, bap. You have poor quality, bap, bye, and that was it.
Yeah, it's true. It's like when we first started doing Skype, it's like, oh my god, this is like Star Trek. This is so cool. The future is now. Yeah, and now here we are, and let's see, over 10 years later, we have technology has progressed to the point where we can easily video call people from all over the world and record podcasts, which I am thankful for.
Yeah, man, serious. Thank the Lord.
Thank the Lord. Thank the game. So before we do have a topic today, but before we get into the topic, I want to talk to you guys. How did you guys start Arcade Attack?
Oh, Ben. The amount of times I've answered this question, at least 3. I was really bored at work about 7 years ago. I was doing some customer service stuff for a software company, and it wasn't really going anywhere. And I was finding myself playing a lot of old video games because I didn't really like the Xbox 360 kind of PlayStation 3 era. I've got on with it now, but back in those days, I was like, oh, retro game. I was like, well, I really quite fancy going into websites, creating websites, writing stuff. And I thought, wow, well, old video games are really interesting to write about and finding stuff about. So then I started it up. I started off as Dylan's Arcade. That didn't really go anywhere. It looked really bad, didn't it? And then I was like, well, I need something more catchy. So I just kept on going on hosting, finders. I was like, what can I find that sounds a bit video gamey? Everything retro gamey, everything video game was pretty much taken. So I was like, oh, damn it. But it came about arcadeattack.co.uk. So okay, I'll call it Arcade Attack. And then Adrian was like, well, why don't we interview people who used to make the games back then? They seem to be pretty up for it. We can ping them over a few questions and that. Yeah. So I got him on board. And then Adrian you kept it going for about a year or two. And then Keith tried. So Keith is our third wheel. I've known these guys in school. So I've known these guys since we were about 11, 12 years old. And then Keith was like, oh, okay, I like the writing, but, can we do a bit of video stuff? So we tried video stuff. It went badly because we didn't know how to sync anything with game footage, and it went really badly. Yeah. Then he was like, oh, why don't we do podcasting? All we have to do is just get together, chat about games, see how it goes, take the mick out of each other a lot for an hour, and that's it. Ta-da!
It was perfect timing because I remember Dylan started his website and I was like, oh, this sounds quite interesting. And then
you jumped on my bandwagon, mate.
I stole it basically.
Yeah.
And literally about a month later, my mum said, oh, I just cleared out my loft. Here's all your old games consoles. Here's all the retro stuff. I was like, this is like a sign. I've got all my new retro consoles set up again, all the Jaguars and Master Systems and whatnot. Yeah. So I thought, well, I better get, involved in this Arcade Attack business of Dylan's.
I'm amazed it all worked, because how long was it in your mum's loft for? It was in there a long time.
Years, I'll say, yeah.
I'm surprised it didn't all just decompose, but that's what those gaming consoles are made of. They're made out of just tough.
Oh,
basically.
yeah.
I can't think of any other word to describe it, but
no,
and here we are.
Oh yeah, here we are. Now, when you mentioned how game consoles are just built to last, I remember when I had an N64 and people would my PlayStation 2. I still have my original PlayStation PS2 from when my family first got it. It's in there. It's safe, but I'm still very careful with it. It's a little fragile. Whereas with my NES and when I had it, my N64, those things can take punishment. Nintendo consoles, I remember I would accidentally drop my Game Boy walking to my car. I'm playing Pokemon. I would accidentally drop my Game Boy, and when it hit the ground, I was scared. It'd hit the ground and it would turn the game off, and then I would and when I would flick the switch on and off again, it would turn right back on. Maybe
have you ever cracked one of those open? It's got a lot of I've done a few times, but it's got the shell is pretty hardcore. I'm glad it kept going for you. And also Game Boy Colors are the same as well, aren't they? But I know now you couldn't really get away with that. I don't think you could drop a Switch and get away with it now. That'd be done.
Yeah, I mean, luckily the Switches thankfully the handheld Switch is still nice, but we have not dropped the Switch yet, thankfully, and mostly when we actually had played it, it's not like we're playing it and walking around like I was when I was a kid, walking in my car trying to catch a Pokemon. I'm surprised I didn't trip and fall on because we had little stairs next to where I drive away. I'm surprised I didn't trip and fall because that would have been a bad day.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But yeah, so there is a topic that we have today, or air quotes here topic, and the topic is our console journeys. I've been seeing this trend going around Twitter a little bit, and I thought, that'd be funny walking down, because you guys are a retro podcast. This show technically isn't a retro podcast, but we do talk a lot of retro stuff quite a bit. So I figured, hey, let's talk about our console journey, starting from our very first console. Handhelds are welcome. The only caveat is I don't count PCs, because PCs can pretty much run anything.
Yeah.
Especially in today's day and age, because if we did include PCs, then my first gaming machine was my Windows 95. Oh, okay. That was the first gaming machine my family ever owned. And these are consoles that you guys own, not consoles you went to a friend's house and played. Things that you owned at least once in your life.
Yeah.
I'll let Adrian start then, because I'm still trying to spin mine in my head. Go on.
My mum and dad weren't gamers, not gamers now really, but I went to my uncle's house when I was very young, and he showed off this new machine. I was like, what is this? And it was a Spectrum, ZX Spectrum Plus. I was like, you can actually play games on an old TV, and I couldn't believe it. And after that, I was like, Mum, we need one of these as well. So we got a Spectrum, and it's arguably a computer more than the console, but it was absolutely incredible. But then only a few months later, I went back to my uncle's house, and he had it upgraded to an Amiga 500. Ooh. And I couldn't believe the graphics that this thing could produce. I just couldn't believe it. I mean, I love the Amiga so much. It wasn't so big in the US, obviously. I know it's a bit of a cult following over there, but in the UK, it really was that powerful. So again, I was like, Mum, I know we've got the Spectrum, and I like the Spectrum, but we need this thing now. And I was like, you can do homework on this.
They were really expensive because I'll tell everyone about my sort of journey in a minute. But I had an Amiga. I won't tell you which one. But they were just ridiculously. They were priced like a PC, weren't they?
A lot of money,
but they were a gaming thing.
Well, I've got a trump card guilty because I've got 2 brothers, so I was like, it could be a joint Christmas present.
Oh yeah, I didn't have that. Yeah, I couldn't do that.
No, I cannot tell you how many times I played because my birthday is in November, and it's like right in the middle. So Christmas is right around. Obviously, it's right around the corner.
Yeah.
And whenever a big thing would become like, be it a game console or I'm in Southern California. I live super close to Disneyland. So I would tell my parents, it's like, hey, Disneyland pass for both birthday and Christmas for me? It worked. It actually worked.
Yeah, you can double up, can't you? So
you can double up. I can't. Yeah. My birthday's in March, and yours is yours. Adrian's is Jan, so you could have done your birthday thing and doubled up with your brothers. You could have got like a mega computer,
a Neo Geo, possibly.
You could have got a Neo Geo. Yeah, why'd you mess around with an Amiga?
No, right. So we got the Amiga 600, which really blew my mind. Loved it. Zool was one of my favorite games at the time. I don't know if there's any Zool fans, Ben, on your show, but I'm always going to defend that crazy Ninja Ant because I love that guy. And for many, many years, that was it. Although saying that, and there's a funny story, isn't it? I actually quite like the Master System. I don't know if you're a fan, but the first time I saw it was at my neighbour's house, and my mum was like, "Oh, I've got to help cat sit." We've got to help cat sit. Our neighbours have gone out for a week. Adrian, do you want to come over and help cat sit? I'm like, fine. And I knew, I must have been about 7, 8 maybe at the time. I knew they had a teenage daughter. I was like, oh, I wonder what a girl's bedroom looks like. I was innocent.
We'd never seen one, I suppose, would we? When we were in our young years. Yeah, exactly.
So I was like,
exciting.
You feed the cat, Mum. I'm just going to pop upstairs, have a little look around.
That's so cheeky. You can't go nosing around in girls' bedrooms, regardless of how young you are and how young they are.
Yeah. How old were you when this was going on? You were like, what, 10 or something?
I think I was about 7 or 8, maybe. I can't exactly remember the time.
That's probably acceptable.
Yeah,
maybe.
I would say, when I would go to friends' houses, there's friends at school, I was actually curious because there are times where I'd be going around or I'd be walking past their houses, but of course I would never go inside. And I'd be like, I wonder what the inside of that person's house looks like.
Because it was the next door house. So the layout of the house was pretty much identical, but obviously everything else was different. It was so weird for me. Yeah. And then opened the door and I was like, this is interesting. One of those dancing flower pots. Remember the plastic flower pots?
Oh, yeah. Do you remember them?
I was looking around going, that's interesting. And then
they were tacky.
I looked at the TV. I was like, there's a TV there. And below it was this box. I was like, I know what that is. It's a Master System. And I was like, I'm just going to turn it on. And there was a cartridge in there, Sonic the Hedgehog.
Oh, wow. What a game to start on.
And then Mum was
Master System, Sonic the Hedgehog.
Wow, man.
Mum shouted out saying, the cats are being fed. We can go home. Like, no, I'll come home later.
Yeah. I think we need to feed the cat again. I don't think it's been fed enough. Let's come back and play more Sonic.
And I begged Mum, saying, can I just stay here for half an hour? And it's rude, isn't it? Let's be honest. And she was like, fine, just knock when you're ready to come home. And I must have stayed there for about 3 or 4 hours just playing Sonic the Hedgehog. I was like, we need a Master System. I told my brothers, we're going to help cats sit the next day because they've gone for a week. And then I was like, my brother's like, oh my God, this is a great game. And I don't know how we got the Master System, but we managed to bully my mum and parents into it as well.
God, you bullied them into buying you so many consoles, didn't you?
I know, right?
Oh, you, sir, Adrian, you were like, hey, can we get the consoles? For me and my younger brother, the way we got consoles was we begged. We had to get on. I've said this 100 times on both my regular podcast, FakeNerd podcast, and on this show, but I'll say it again. My parents were not anti-video games, but they were definitely more go outside and play. You can only play video games for 1 hour a day, and only if your homework is done.
Yeah.
Oh, mate, that's strict.
That's a hard upbringing then.
Oh, mate, I had to set a timer on our oven for an hour. Oh. And originally the rule was that once we turned on we had to set the timer first and then turn the console on. It wasn't the other way around. And I remember there's one time, it was Crash Bandicoot 3. For some reason, you know the long opening cutscene in Crash Bandicoot 3 with the Ako Ako and Uka Uka and all that stuff? I couldn't. We would just like skip it because we've seen it 100 times. But for some reason, we would hit the start button and it wasn't registering and it wouldn't skip.
No.
And of course and it was eating into our time. So my brother and I walked up to our mom one day and it's like, hey, for some reason we can't skip this cutscene in our game, and that's like 5 minutes into our playing time. Can we, start the timer when we start playing? And my mom was like, and she was like, okay, yeah, sure, you can do that.
Yeah, thanks, Mom. Cry.
It's like, thanks, Mom.
Did you ever get to a final boss, Ben, or anything? And like a final boss, you got to keep you playing, and your mom was like, "Sorry."
No, thankfully, my mother was never that mean. Like when our timer went off, and she was like, and if we were right in the middle of a level, she would let us finish the level and make sure we saved the game first. Before the only time my parents were saying, "Benjamin, turn that game off right now," was when I was going through the airport. We landed. We were on a family vacation. I want to say Singapore. We had to go through customs, and I was in the middle of a Pokemon battle. And my dad was like, "Okay, save your game." I'm like, "I can't." "What do you mean you can't?" He's like, "It's Pokemon. I know you can save this game." I was like, "Dad, I'm in the middle of a battle. I can't save the game in the middle of a battle." And he actually was like, I mean, he didn't yell, thankfully, but he was like, "Benjamin, turn that off now." So I'm like, "Okay."
Oh man. Oh.
Where would you like to be right now, Ben? If you won that Pokemon battle, that's all we will.
You could have been a Pokemon superstar, man. You could have been winning those Pokemon tournaments.
Yeah.
You could have been a millionaire.
Well, at the same time, we were all super cranky because we just got off of because we just went from South Korea to Singapore, and before that was from LAX to South Korea, and that
that's long.
It was super long. I was in third grade, and being on that flight for that long was the absolute worst.
What did you do with yourself? What can you do with yourself? Like if you're that young, like it's like I don't know.
My parents made damn sure that we had fully loaded batteries for our Game Boys, and they also bought us a Pokemon handbook.
Oh, nice! Yeah, you can have a little read of that. Yeah, nice. Yeah.
So of course, my brother and I, we were like flipping through that, trading it back and forth. And when we were in the air, and the captain said, "Okay, you can do your electronic devices," Game Boys instantly came out.
Done.
Love it.
Yeah. Done. Which, funny enough, that was actually the first home console I ever owned was a Game Boy.
Ah, a good one, mate. Oh, Tetris. Ooh.
Actually, my first game wasn't Tetris, so I still have my original Game Boy. It's a Game Boy Pocket. It's a green one. And I got it, I want to say 2 months before the Game Boy Color was released. And when we were at the store, this is you're going to love this. So we were at the store. We were once again begging our moms begging our dad for video game systems. And our parents were like, no, we have a computer. You don't need to stay glued to the TV all day. But the thing is that we would take family trips to Montana. Do you guys know where Montana is?
It's like Colorado, isn't it? I'm trying to like it's a little. That way of the country.
It's north. So like here's California, here's Montana. The state borders Canada.
Right. Wow.
Yeah. So and we would take road trips from Southern California to Montana. And once again, my brother and I are very young. You can imagine we get bored very easily on these 16, 18-hour car rides.
Oh, mate. Oh, I don't know how you guys do that over there. We can't spend about 2-3 hours in a car before we get bored. We're not used to it. We live in a small country. But
yeah, just 15 minutes to Dylan's house. Like, it's getting boring.
Oh, mate, you were driving. You're like, I'm so going to go to Croydon. Oh, man. No, we can't do 18 hours, mate.
Well, especially luckily once we got into Utah and into Idaho, which is those states have a lot more scenic stuff. It's a lot more like beautiful. It's like, oh hey, look, there's trees, there's wildlife. Oh, look at all this beautiful scenery. Whereas from California to southern Utah, it's all just desert.
Wow.
Like the only time.
Shout out, Ben, to Utah. There's a Facebook group I've joined called Utah Retro Gaming. I'm a bad boy from Croydon. I joined it. And
Did you say you were from Utah?
Well,
no.
I just joined it. I didn't really just sneaked in, and I sometimes post our podcast, and actually they're very receptive. They actually seem to enjoy our stuff there. It seems so.
They probably worked out. Yeah, they probably worked out you're not from Utah. unless it's a Utah accent. Is it?
No, it's not.
Yeah. So I'd like to go to Utah. I think they like the retro gaming. I'm getting that sort of vibe.
I like it. Okay, so that sounds like my kind of town. Let's go.
That is awesome. Yeah, like the only time on the car ride in the southern part, the desert part, the only time where my brother and I actually perked up was when we drove through Las Vegas.
Oh yeah. Oh, hello.
Yeah, because it's like Las Vegas. It's like, oh, look at all the pretty lights, the colors. Oh, this is so cool. And then bye.
It's like Blackpool for us, isn't it? Look at the pretty lights.
Yeah, the British guys into this will get that. Oh, yeah. Blackpool. Oh no, don't come here. No, don't go there. Any Americans listen to this, don't go to Blackpool.
I don't know what I mean, eventually I'm going to London next year, so
Nice.
Yeah.
Come say hello, mate. We are literally about 15-minute train ride out of London, aren't we?
Yeah,
so
I will definitely try to see you guys, because that's one of the things. It's like, hey, I have friends in London now. ...
Do it.
It's like, where are you guys at? I only got a few hours here.
Well, come see you. Well, up a pint. Yeah. Nice warm beer. You know, we like warm beer. Oh, that's he goes. Have one of those.
Pints and pints of lager. Yeah.
Hey, I told my friends when we've been playing this trip for over 2 years. The first destination was Japan, and then of course that got too expensive. So we said, okay, yeah, we'll go to Europe instead. And then COVID happened, and then COVID's still happening. Mm-hmm. So we're just sitting here going, bloody hell, when are we actually gonna go out of the country?
Mm-hmm. That's it, isn't it? Yeah, that's it. Yeah. But yeah, do it, mate. Whenever you're here, drop us a line.
Yeah, I most certainly will. But yeah, going back to console journeys, the Game Boy was my very first one, because that helped my brother and I on our super long car rides.
Nice.
Do you want me to pass to Dylan now?
That was your kind of like little, I mean, I need to kind of like step it up now, because mine was before you guys. No, actually, no, Spectrum would have been before mine. So my first console was the Sega Master System. So in 1990, crikey, 31 years ago. Oh, this pains me, Ben. Why are you making me do this? Right, so
it pains me too, man.
Man, 30 years ago, mate. Come on.
I mean, but yeah, I was born. I may be a '90s kid, but now it still hurts when I'm like going around like the mall, or I'm seeing kids younger than me talk about. It's like, oh, this is so. It's like, oh, is this brand new? And it's like, oh no, this is all retro. And they're talking about stuff from 2003. That's considered retro, and I'm like,
the stuff that we play games on first are in museums. They're in museums. They've got those little plaques next to them with the little writing, like to describe what they're about. They're so old. But yeah, the Sega Master System. So before Christmas 1990, Sega were going. I think they wanted to get rid of their Master Systems or something in Europe, because they were going quite hard on the advert. So I said to my dad, "Oh, quite a fancy one of those." I'd only ever played Pong before on one of my cousins, like Binatone things, wherever it was. But I was like, yeah, okay, come on, let's have one of those. So he got me the pack with a light gun in it. I think they call it the Light Phaser Sega. Built-in Hang-On Safari Hunt, 2 controllers. And I persuaded him, because I didn't know the games were on the console. This is another joke. I spent 2 months not knowing that there were 2 built-in games on the console. And I said to him, we were going to the counter, and someone had discarded Ghostbusters for some reason. And I was like, oh, that looks like that would fit the Master System, Dad. Oh, can I have that too? Go on. so he gave me Ghostbusters, and it's the Activision one that's, I think, on a lot of those 8-bit computers. Yeah. And I loved it, man. I spent about 2 months playing that. And then I realized I had Hang On and Safari Hunt on there. And then one of my uncles got me Galaxy Force. And that was it. I was hooked. And then Sonic 1. I got Sonic 1 when that came out somehow. Not even for a Christmas present. I think I just nagged my dad to get me it. And that I knew it. From that moment on, when I played Sonic 1 on the Master System, I knew I'd still be talking about video games 30 years later on a podcast called Basement Arcade.
Basement Arcade pause menu.
Pause menu. Yeah, here we are.
So we do have a regular show called Basement Arcade, but that's our Let's Play show. That's video only. This is video.
Oh man, you won't even let us on there. Oh, why are we on this one? Oh, well, Ben, hate
you guys.
Just kidding. I'm kidding. So you had a Master System for ages, and then I stepped up to an Amiga 1200. Yeah. So which is the one with double the memory of the 600.
Yeah,
and
my one.
Man, Amigas were just amazing. I think you said like they weren't that popular in the States, but I think it was that and the Atari ST. I think they were those kind of, and I think maybe the Atari ST did a bit better over there. But mate, I was hooked. And then it just ended up spiraling. Then I got a Mega Drive after that. So I kind of went back a little bit. and then I got a PlayStation, and then PlayStation 2, and then here we are. But another reason why I started Arcade Attack was to try and obviously play those games that we couldn't do back in those days, because we didn't have a lot of money growing up, and you can't afford that many. We used to swap games, and me and him used to swap games a lot, because you didn't. I mean, with the Amiga games, you used to be able to copy them. So just get a little, box of floppy disk, and I'd be like, Adrian, what did you get from your uncle this time? And then he'd give me like Monkey Island and stuff, and that'd keep me going. But so now we can actually, obviously, we're old, we can afford to buy stuff. I had an Atari Jaguar for a bit, and other things, like other consoles that I'd not really played with before. But that's basically it now. So we just go through catalogs and catalogs of games we never played. Dreamcast was a good one. Missed that one. Completely missed the Dreamcast because I was too busy playing PS2. This guy was the only guy in Croydon who had one, I think.
I did, yeah.
And I've got it. You gave it to me, that one, because you got another one, didn't you? And you gave me that one.
Yeah, it's weird. I don't know how I can't exactly remember how I got it, but I think it was before me and my brothers got it, and maybe got it just a bit cheaper because obviously the PS2 really did wipe it out, didn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Sales.
I love the Dreamcast now. I can't believe it got shafted, basically, didn't it, when it got released? But mate, in a nutshell, that's pretty much how I ended up here. So we can pick apart any of that if you want.
We will.
The Sega v Nintendo thing, I was definitely a Sega kid. I hate to say, I was only. Too. Yeah, so I can't get into Mario. I'm sorry, again, anyone listening to this, I can't do it. I like the first Mario on the NES, and maybe 2 and 3, and then after that, I just don't know. I don't know. They're a bit floaty for me. They're not quick enough. I'm Sonic, man. I'm gone.
Yeah. When Adrian was talking about going to his when he was cat sitting, it instantly gave me flashbacks when I was in kindergarten. So I was a really young kid, and there was a girl who lived next door to me at the time. And her dad was super cool, and he would whenever my parents were gone, they would watch my brother and I. And when we would go over to her house, she had a SNES or a SNES in her room. So cool. So we would play 2 games on that. We would play Super Mario World and Street Fighter 2. Of course, we didn't call them Super Mario World and Street Fighter 2. We just called them the fighting game and the Mario game.
I have a bit of a, not fetish, but I have a bit of an obsession for Street Fighter 2. It's probably the game that I own most in most different formats. I've got all the downloadable ones. You can get all the collection ones. I've got the SNES one, the Mega Drive one. I've got the PS2 one somewhere. I just love that game so much. It just revolutionized fighting games. I think one-on-one fighting games.
I mean, it's an amazing game. Do not get me wrong, but I had a feeling you guys really love Street Fighter 2 since I don't know the opening to your show has Street Fighter 2 sound bites. I mean, listeners and viewers and listeners, if you go over to Arcade Attack and check them out, and you listen to their show, you hear Chung-Li, you hear the Shoryuken, you hear the Shoryuken, and some theme. I'm guessing as one of the themes from one of the stages.
For us, it's the Ryu stage. Yeah, I mean, Ryu, if you want to pronounce it, if you want to pronounce it properly. I just love that. I think as a kind of an intro music, and because we're too lazy to make our own intro music, that was just something that me and Keith chose a couple of years when we first started. So he did it, and then I redid it again. So the lady who you hear talking is Adrian's cousin, so she's like a professional voice artist. So we just get favors. Beg and borrow, man. This is we are held up with duct tape and other things and well wishes. I don't even know how we get so many downloads, but we are literally. It is just we're not. I wouldn't call us professional. This is why I want to get this thing that you've got here. How you're doing all this fancy business. We need to get this.
Oh, trust me. This is all for me. This is all a facade. I tried it. I even went to school to do radio. I went to university to learn it. I have a bachelor's degree in it.
Okay.
And 2 episodes ago, because you guys interviewed him as well, Howard Scott Warshaw.
I had him.
Adrian interviewed him, but I had him on my show as well. And the whole time I was telling myself, don't fanboy. Whatever you do not fanboy. And if any of my radio professors watched or heard that interview, they would probably smack me upside the head next time they see me because it's like a cardinal sin to not fanboy.
You have to be professional. You were like, Howard, how are you? Yes.
I was trying to, but at the same time, it's like I'm talking to a literal video game legend.
He is, man.
He was great. He's great fun, isn't he?
It was an amazing conversation. He was super, super nice, super chill, and he wants to come back on the show, which makes me happy because I bought his book.
Nice.
I'm reading his book right now, and once I'm done with reading his book, I'm going to invite him back on and talk more. And also, we only had like 30, 40 minutes to talk. So,
I mean, that happened to me probably once. I've had a lot of guests on, but the one I was like, oh my word, this is for me personally, it was Eric Chahi, who made Another World. I don't know if it was it called Out of This World in the US?
Out of This World, I think they named it over there.
An unbelievable sort of platform, actually, sort of cinematic game. And I was obsessed by that game as a kid. So I was like, this game was literally made by one person, really. And
speaking of games, sorry, I know this is horrible. Speaking of games made by one person, I have something, and I hunted down and made sure I got. It's like one of the, let's see, where'd it go? Oh, this is great audio. I know. No, not you. Where
the guy's on the audio only. Audio
here it is.
only. What are you doing, Ben?
Of course.
Oh, you've got ET.
Yeah, I got ET.
A dump. No, it's
not
so amazing.
From the dump, not from the
landfill.
Not from the landfill in Alamogordo. I was looking on eBay because I've been wanting to get not just Howard's games, but there are a few Atari games because I do not own an Atari 2600. I probably may never own an Atari 2600, not because it's a bad console or anything, just because I know I'm probably not going to play it because I have a space as a factor right now. But the reason why I wanted this cart is because I want to preserve it.
Man, that is gaming history that you're holding there.
Exactly. It is exactly why I want to hold on to this game. And I'm going to try and find a protective case for it. I'm going to protect it. And if I do play it, awesome, because I have played this game before. I played it at a retro gaming convention a few years ago in the before times. And now, as I told Howard, if you could listen back to that episode, I want to play it again because when I first played it, my perception of ET was very skewed because of the internet and because of everyone talking smack about it. Like people are saying, this is the shittiest game of all time. This game is god awful.
There are way worse on the 2600 than ET. I mean, it's not an amazing game. I mean, I don't know what I'm doing most of the time, but you can need a few walkthroughs and the things these days. But apparently, if you read the manual, I think this is the key, right? If you read the manual, then you actually know what you're doing.
Yeah, same thing with Raiders of the Lost Ark, which I have in this box, like I want to dig out.
There you go. I mean, a lot of those games weren't that intuitive back in the day. You had to read the instructions, otherwise, even loads of Master System games I got. So Ghostbusters, right? There's nowhere that explicitly says in the manual. So even they tried even to describe this in the manual that you need to press the direct. So you move the little Ghostbusters logo around this map, and there's nowhere that says you actually have to press the direction that from where you are in relation to the building and one of the buttons to then drive to the building. Nowhere in the Master System instructions. I'm like, how do you do? They're talking about stuff I can't even get to, and that's the beginning of the game. Like, what is going on? So then, so then I just fluked it one day, and I was like, oh, there you go. Oh, there's a driving bit. That's new. I was just going around the map before. I was like, this is amazing. I just go around the map. Like, oh, you can go over there. Oh, there's Zool. Oh no, Zool got smashed up again. I'm like, just go round and round. But but ET, nice one for preserving that.
But going back to the 2600, my personal hot take: Pac-Man is worse on the 2600.
Wow. That is something. And that's a simple game.
I've interviewed Todd Fry that made it. He converted it over, and he did get a lot of stick. Actually, you're right, Ben. His conversion, even though a lot of people respect it, I haven't truthfully played it, but a lot of people were quite angry. Thought he could have done a better job, and I think Todd Fry is a very interesting man actually, because he made the Sword Quest series as well. Which, I don't know if you know about that, Ben. But it's really quite incredible Atari competition. Oh
no, I have this. I have so in this lot I have Fireworld. I have.
Sword Quest. There you go. Yeah.
And, I do know of the Sword Quest contest, how it was supposed to be Waterworld, Earthworld, Fireworld, and Airworld was the last one, but Airworld never got made because then like the crash cut that all at the kneecaps. But yeah,
it did a bit. Like, and we got a bit of a stick. I think we accidentally said somewhere that it was like it crashed the whole industry. So the ET and obviously all the unlicensed stuff that came out over there. But it was the North American industry. But our stuff was propped up by the Spectrum scene and the Commodore scene, and we kind of kept it ticking over.
Yeah, I felt bad because on your guys' Twitter when you announced the interview with Howard Scott Warshaw, a bunch of Twitter users from, I want to say Europe and maybe even Australia, they kept correcting Adrian.
That was it.
They kept correcting you.
Stop.
Saying,
okay, we get it. Come on.
Oh, I constantly saying it's like, oh, this was the American thing that
He was blamed for destroying an industry, not like the industry. I don't know, man.
Well, look, we've got thick skin, me and Dylan, luckily. So
we find everything hilarious. Yeah, I mean,
all
over
your
the years,
just harass us.
Oh yeah, have a listen to some of our podcasts. They're terrible. You'll have loads of stuff. We never get anything right. No. We don't pride ourselves on getting stuff right. We never get anything right.
Really good review, didn't we? Said, we like these guys. We like their charisma, and we think they're quite funny. But boy, do they get a lot of things wrong.
We get things so wrong. I mean, we're gonna do in this batch that we're recording later. We're just recording a Sonic one. I guess it's his 30th anniversary, right? So we thought we'll finally do a Sonic podcast after 200 podcasts. We'll finally do one. We've done a couple on the films, but they don't really they don't really count. And I thought, where can I get my information from? Wikipedia. Wikipedia.
Yeah.
I copy paste.
We're not helping
terrible,
out
mate.
with stuff, are we?
I'm terrible. Yeah, if you want to actually learn stuff, no. If you want to have a good time, come listen to us. But if you don't want to actually learn things, no. I'd go somewhere else.
I mean, that's why I listen to you guys, because it's a good time. Even though one of you guys has some choice words about Animal Crossing, and I'm a huge Animal Crossing defender.
Oh, mate, do you know what? Keith hates that game. I love it.
He might walk in a minute. If he does, I'm going to shut the door.
Yeah, if he comes in, when is it? What is it? 15 minutes. Yeah, if he comes in, I'll be like, Keith. Look, Ben likes Animal Crossing too.
Yeah. No, that was Animal Crossing New Horizons. That was the first Animal Crossing game I ever played. I never really played Animal Crossing beforehand.
Same.
I didn't dunk on Animal Crossing. Like, I wouldn't go out into my way saying, "Oh, Animal Crossing is a bad game," because I never played it. What am I to say what's a bad game and what's not? It just never really interested me. My girlfriend, she wanted to play it, and of course, for her birthday, she got it. And then, as the time went on, people were constantly saying about how great Animal Crossing was, because this is when the pandemic first really hit. And Animal Crossing was a big proponent in my house, because both myself and my girlfriend actually got sick with COVID.
Oh man,
same.
I got COVID as well.
Yeah, we got lucky enough. We didn't have to go to a hospital, but we were both quarantined in our house for about a month. And Animal Crossing was the one shred of normalcy we had left, and we were constantly taking turns playing it. We were pulling pranks on each other in the game, and it was my game of the year for 2020 because of how it just gave everyone hope of going back to normal eventually. I mean, yes,
good for mental health, wasn't it? I think people proved that it's a very good, quite a simple game. Not a lot of clicking buttons, and
I just play during the COVID stuff, and I got my Switch just before sort of COVID really hit. Actually, no, that was the second year. So we'd already gone through one lockdown and everything, and maybe 2 or 3 actually over here. And then I got my Switch, and then we went to another lockdown, and helped me get through that. And just 1 or 2 hours a day I'd spend on it. It was looking after me island, and making sure everything was sold to paying Tom Nook. Got to pay that guy, man. Otherwise he sends the boys round. Apparently he sends the boys round. They break your fingers. That's what I've heard. You got to keep those repayments up. Yeah.
On our version, he breaks your legs.
He was trending, wasn't he, recently? But it was pretty dodgy.
Why? Why was he trending?
It's a family-friendly show, but apparently it was a picture of him showing everything.
Oh no, he's not been. Oh no.
Yeah.
I haven't seen that, but
they can't cancel Tom Nook. We need another Animal Crossing. They can't cancel him.
Nah, I don't think that. I think Tom Nook's fine. I mean, unfortunately, the internet be the internet sometimes. So.
Oh yeah. It'd be definitely.
Going back to our console journeys, because yes, the Switch is definitely part of my journey, because I got the Switch and the PS4 are the two big at-home consoles, because throughout my entire life my parents bought me my consoles because I didn't have any money. There would be consoles I would want, and my parents would get them for me.
Yeah.
But the first console I ever bought with my own money was my Nintendo 3DS, but that's a handheld. So handhelds I kind of put in a gray area, but the PS4 and the Switch, those were the ones where I was like, I can buy this myself. I don't have to.
Great feeling, isn't it?
Oh, it was walking out of my store with my PlayStation 4 in my hand with a bunch of games. My girlfriend is in tow. I was trying to get her to do the joke of like she's sitting in the backseat of my car.
You were the king of the world, mate. You were Titanic. You were king of the world.
I felt because the PS4 came out and I wanted it for a few years. I never had the chance to get it. I want to say 3 years after it came out. And when I finally had the money and I was able to afford it and get like a bunch of games with it, I did feel like I was king. I felt on top of the world. It was great.
Mate, that's the feeling, man. So my parents bought all my consoles up until PlayStation 1. I think PS2 and stuff, had like summer holidays in between universities. I had a bit of dollar. You guys know over there? Bit of dollar, spent a few. But when I was at college, I could actually buy my own PS1 games, and that was awesome. So I remember buying like Dino Crisis off my own back. I bought like Final Fantasy 7, Final Fantasy 8. You know, those were just epic games, and they got me through a lot of hard times. Actually, if we talk about journeys and what molds what you like now, then those Final Fantasy games, the Resident Evil games, Dino Crisis, Silent Hill. You know, I'm a massive Silent Hill fan. I'm so gutted that sort of bit the dust a little bit, but I don't know if there's gonna bring that back. But yeah. PS1. I
went in a slightly different direction because my first console I purchased for myself was an N64.
Oh yeah, that's a good story. Okay. That's a good story.
I mean, I was working at Littlewoods.
Littlewoods, okay. America, what's it comparable to over there? It's a bit like Target. It's a bit like a catalogy version of Target, isn't it? Littlewoods.
Old age pensioners.
Yeah, I wouldn't buy clothes from there.
Oh, Ben, I was given £3 free an hour. Now I don't know what that was.
£3. That's about $5 an hour. Actually, now those days, well, the pound was a bit stronger in those days, but by these days, it'd be about $4 an hour.
Oh, yeah, dear. $4 an hour, and I was working weekends, so it took me maybe a couple of months. And I was saving money. I was like, what should I use the money for? And then there's a big advert on TV going, N64, now with GoldenEye, only $99.99. They obviously, maybe it's towards the end of its lifespan, but I was like, whoa. Next day, HMV, boom. And it was one of the best purchases. And then I love those. I love GoldenEye, by the way. I think it's a brilliant game. And then for my birthday, a few months later, my brother got me Zelda Ocarina of Time, which... it's my favorite game of all time, and it was my first Zelda game I properly got into, and since then I never looked back. And it's my favorite series. And Breath of the Wild, I don't know if you played it, Ben. I don't know if you got it on the Switch. It's astonishing game.
Breath of the Wild was the reason why I wanted to Switch in the first place. I mean,
you guys are on your own a bit. I never really got into Zelda. Sorry, I can't get into it for some reason, but.
Dylan, there are absolutely no judgments here. If you don't like the game, you don't like the game. I'm not gonna be like, get out. I'm like, dude.
I'm off, mate. I'll see you guys later.
No, get back. Stay there. Man. It's like, yeah, Breath of the Wild was amazing. I did have an N64, but that was actually later on. The first, my first at-home console, like true console that wasn't a handheld, was the PlayStation 1.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It was
what a console! I mean, if you're talking about greatest of all time, for me, it's between that, PS2, and Mega Drive. I think for me. Those are the three.
For me, the GOAT is the PS2.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because when we got the PlayStation 1, that was like when we got our PS1. I still have my original one to this day. That console, because the N64 was out, the PlayStation 1 was out, but I was still very young. I was still in elementary school, or primary school. I think that's what they call it over in England.
Yep.
And I wasn't really aware. Like, I knew about the Super Nintendo, I knew about the Genesis or the Mega Drive, and that's what I wanted. But then the N64 came out, and then I'm like, oh, did the PlayStation come out? And we started hearing rumblings about this thing called the PlayStation. And I think my neighbor, one of my friends, my classmates, he had a PlayStation, and parents would talk. And they said, oh, yeah, I returned the N64 because the N64 didn't have a whole lot of games, and the PlayStation has a bunch of games, and it was cheaper.
It's true.
Yeah, the library is mental, isn't it? It was just so big. There's just so many games on that thing. The PS2 is even bigger. I think the PS2 now, you can get you can just like fill your boots for about £20. So we've got a lot of secondhand game shops around here, and yeah, PS2 games are about £1 or £2 each. A lot of the popular ones that sold in their millions. You get all the Grand Theft Autos for about £2-3, all the Gran Turismos, all the fighting stuff.
There's a lot of filler as well, but
there is a lot of filler. But man, it had like Silent Hill 2 on it, Silent Hill 3, I'm just naming a lot of Silent Hill games.
No,
help me,
Adrian. For me, naming Silent Hill is kind of like me naming Mega Man, because for me, the PlayStation, I latched on hard to Mega Man X. Mega Man X4 was the first Mega Man X game I ever played on the system. So X4, X5, X6, I have all of them still to this day. Mega Man Legends is my absolute favorite Mega Man game of all time.
That's just so difficult, Ben. How would you do it?
Yeah, I did struggle with the Mega Man games.
I like Mega Man. I respect it. I'm blind.
We're really bad at video games, Ben. Yeah, I don't know.
I did say I beat them.
This is something.
Dude, I never beat Mega Man X5 or X6 properly. The only Mega Man X game I actually ever truly beaten is X4, and that's only because I also used the cheat code to get the power.
We got to cheat, man. We all just like get the cheats out. We're just so terrible at video games at Arcade Attack. We just don't know how to play them. We like them. We'll talk about them. We're great talking about them.
Oh yeah, I absolutely love playing video games, but I'm not going to say I'm a master at playing Mega Man X. I'm sure as hell not.
There's only one.
I have my SNES mini hooked up, and I still haven't beaten Sigma on Mega Man X, and I also have the Hadoken. I can't beat Sigma. I get into the last giant ass fox form, and I still can't beat that asshole.
Man, mate. The only two games I can complete easily are Streets of Rage on the Mega Drive and Sonic 1 on the Master System. Everything else, like even from back then, I struggle with now. I'm just like, I'm so slow. Like, I can't move my fingers.
It took me over 20 years to beat Sonic CD. That's my favorite game of all time. That's the first game that I ever owned that was truly mine. And I had it on the Windows 95 because I never had a Genesis. I never had a Genesis / Mega Drive growing up. The only
it wasn't
time
a PC, wasn't it? Yeah.
Do
you know what, Ben? Some of those PC, I don't know if you still want that games. Those PC Sega games are worth a lot of money now.
Yeah, man.
They are.
I don't have my original copy. Unfortunately, it was lost to time. But the way I was able to get it is the iOS port of the game is really well made. It's really well done. That's how I was able to play it and beat the game finally after 20 years of not beating the damn game.
I do like it, but that thing, obviously, when you're spinning between the time zones, I like accidentally do it. I'm like, I don't want to go to the future. I don't want to go. Stop it. Like, I want to just play this level, man. That's the one thing I don't like about that game. I think it's really polished. It's obviously, technically it's like the best Sonic game of that era, but it is, that time travel thing, I can't get on with it. I just want to stay in it's cool, like how it does the graphics and how it like obviously dirties up the level sometimes, and it's nice, but I can't make it work for me to finish the game. So I never finished it.
No, when I started playing it, I was in first grade and I didn't know what the heck was going on. All I know was just like go to the right and jump on bad guys. That's all I knew.
Because there are like three or four different endings to that game, aren't there?
There's two.
There's two. Okay.
Yeah, there's the good ending, whereas if you either get all the time stones or the chaos emeralds, they're really just the placeholder for the chaos emeralds in this game. You get that, you get a good ending, everything's all nice and pretty, and then there's like the bad ending, whereas you just like straight play through the game. Because the third act is like the future, so it's like all dark and gray and gross. You hear and like doesn't look good, and like, oh, you made the bad future. Then once you beat the game, and it's like, hey, you technically got the bad future, so you got to go back and replay it to get the good ending.
Yeah.
Sounds a bit like 2021, doesn't it?
They've basically predicted the future. Oh, mate, but love it. Love it on the CD. The Mega CD or Sega CD is one of my. I only bought it about 6 years ago, but I love it. Oh, I love it so much, man. And again, you can just play whatever games you want in it now. You just burn whatever game you want and play with it. I play like a bit of Silpede, bit of Sonic CD, bit of Final Fight. Oh, Final Fight on the Mega CD is fantastic. Love that. If no one's tried that, you got to try that with the arcade stick. Arcade stick. Oh, mate.
Yeah,
tell you heaven.
Now, Final Fight is like the one beat 'em up I grew up with, only because I would see it at the arcade all the time, was Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Oh yeah, awesome.
That was
much better than that, to be fair.
Yeah, thankfully with my Genesis Mini, I have a Streets of Rage 2, which is an amazing beat 'em up. I really adore that game. But Ninja Turtles, man, that was
so good. So good. You have to be Donatello, right? Yeah, it's just so good.
Leonardo.
Oh, Leonardo, yeah, one of those two. Yeah, definitely.
I like this.
I like Raphael personally.
Hey, at least
you're poking people. Raphael, like, eh.
Well, hey, that means if all three of us somehow,
there'd be no arguments, would there?
We could do a little link thing. Yeah.
Just, everyone hates Michelangelo. You can just stay over there.
Yeah, it was pretty tricky with Michelangelo. I'd like, with Donatello and the big stick. I don't know what that stick's called, but yeah, something fancy. Amazing game.
So good.
So
that's
good.
a great arcade game, isn't it?
And the Simpsons arcade, and all those Konami arcade games are Sunset Riders. I keep going. They're all great. They knew how to make an arcade game.
It makes me sad. I mean, whatever, because we do have a few arcades still in Southern California, and if you guys ever come to Southern California, you better hit me up, because I'm gonna be taking you to a grand tour around some great spots.
As if we wouldn't. Yeah, we just randomly be in California, not like hit you up. Like, I want to talk to Ben. I know that guy. I don't know what
it's like. You land at LAX. It's like, hey, what was that one weird blonde kid?
What was that guy? Yeah, who was that guy? Yeah.
It's like,
he had a good podcast. Yeah, who was that guy? Yeah, well, definitely, mate. We've got a couple here. I mean, a shout out to the Heart of Gaming. So if anyone who's listening to this comes to the UK or is in London, Croydon way, we're South London pretty much, come to the Heart of Gaming. You'll see us there. You pay about £15, about $20 for all you can play, and you can stay there all day. And he's got arcade machines forever. He's got 8-player Daytona. It's got 8-player Daytona.
Oh, that's the
so good that is amazing. So you can lose to us at Daytona because we're amazing at that game. We're terrible at every other game, but we're amazing. We'll wipe the floor with you on Daytona. So that's a promise.
So, do you guys have Dave and Buster's over in England?
Similar. So, kind of like Dave and Buster's. They do like food and games and arcade and what kind of things they do. Sort of. They're like weird complexes that are kind of dying out a little bit, like the one up in Purley Way.
Oh, okay, yeah.
They've got bowling and stuff and everything, and it's all kind of in one bit. So you can get your food, you can go and play your arcade games, you can do a bit of bowling. But they're dying out a little bit. I guess COVID hasn't really helped, I don't think, with all of that stuff.
But I mean, we have quite a few of those places here in the United States, but Dave & Buster's was like the big one because you have food, is a sports bar, and of course they have a massive arcade. And I used to work at one for about a year when I was in uni, or when I was in college. Talking to you guys like from
you're using
England,
our lingo,
Australia.
mate. Yeah, college. You can say college. We get what you mean.
I mean, no, not only that, because I have incorporated the term bloody in my just regular vocabulary.
Nice. I love it.
Around here.
I love it. The funniest thing I ever heard was when I traveled Europe about 2006, 2007. And we met a lot of Americans, as you do, obviously, other backpackers in hostels. And we were in Warsaw in Poland. And they're these two American guys, awesome. Like, we'd go drinking with them like every night, amazing. But they smoked. And then hearing them say they're going to smoke some fags outside was the funniest thing I've ever heard. Because they hear like, oh yeah, have a fag, cigarette. And then, but over there, when you guys say it, it just sounds real wrong.
Yeah, I mean, if anyone listening, when he says that word, he means a cigarette, because over on that part of the world, that's what that means, not the derogatory term that unfortunately it's been associated with. So just plain and simple, because here in America, we have to like really be like, we have to like make sure we're on top of that shit. Yeah,
absolutely, mate, absolutely. But we don't. That's what we use for that, and it was like, oh, guys, okay. But thank you for entertaining us. But, it was good, man. I do like it.
My godmother, she's English. She came here to the United States. She's been living in the United States ever since. And I saw her a few years ago, and there are times because we would talk about, we were like catching up, and there are times where I said, "Is like, oh yeah, I'm doing this." I'm like, bloody hell. And then she looked at me, she's like, "What'd you just say?" I'm like, bloody hell. And she's like,
Well done, Ben. And she gave you a round of applause, mate. They're like,
she's like, oh, I noticed. It was like, well, when I was in school, there were times I would listen to some, or not listen to. I would watch one of my best friends and also my co-host on Fake Nerds. He tried to get me into Doctor Who.
Oh.
all right, yeah, nice.
So I only watched one season of it, and it's the Christopher Eccleston time when he was the Doctor.
He was good, actually. He was a good Doctor.
Yeah.
I want to say David Tennant's my favorite, but I've only seen a very small handful of David Tennant episodes, and also I just love David Tennant because he's David Bloody Tennant. So
yeah, he's David Bloody Tennant, mate.
I'll have a deal with him.
Yeah, he'd be cool. He'd be cool to hang out with. Yeah.
Yeah, but oh man, there was a point and I completely forgot where I was going with. Son of a...
Colloquialisms and borrowing each other's swear words.
No, well, that's the beauty about the show. Tangents and rants are 100% welcome.
We do the same thing, mate. I like this Sonic one that we're going to do later. We're going to end up talking about like fridges or something. This is what happens. Yeah. I don't actually have a freezer. I don't know. Again, the video guys can see my kitchen in the background. Mm-hmm. My freezer doesn't work.
Oh no!
Seriously, the hinge on the bottom is got. It's one of these integrated ones. And I'm like, I can't freeze anything.
That was going to be our big story for our podcast. You're giving Ben our big story for our podcast now.
I can't freeze any food. I basically just have to get
the Sonic pod.
I have to get takeaways forever because I can't freeze anything.
That is gonna be like a great little thing for the description of your episodes. Like, hey, we tried talking about Sonic, and then we go about how Dylan's freezer's broken. He can't freeze any of his food.
It's real bad, mate.
I bought all these Sonic curries, and he can't even freeze them. Oh.
Have you guys had the Sonic curry?
No,
I've heard it tastes real bad.
You know what? I've seen it, as in I've seen pictures of it, but I don't think it came out here in America because the one Sonic food that it is famous here in America is the Sonic popsicle that I have had throughout my life.
That looks good. Yeah.
Never finished it, and I don't think I ever will in my life.
The only thing we got is a knuckle sandwich over at Ben.
Knuckle sandwich. Get it?
You know what? They probably since Knuckles is going to be in the new movie coming out, they probably will have an ice cream called a Knuckles sandwich, where it's just like an ice cream bar.
There you go, mate. Sandwich. Well, you've got my body double, Idris Elba, in that, ain't you? He's going to be Knuckles. He's about all right, Sonic. He's like, all right, mate. I want your emeralds, mate. Give me your emeralds.
Yeah. I want to know
get out of my pub. Yeah.
Well, I'm curious because going into Sonic lore for a little bit. Because there is like a long run of Sonic the Hedgehog comic books that Archie published that were in tandem with the games. Like the games came out, Archie got the license from Sega to do the Sonic comic books, and so the writers had to incorporate the games into like this whole world that they created. It's like it is a weird world of lore. It is completely different from the video games, but there's stuff from the games in them. It's nuts. So apparently Knuckles' family came from the equivalent to Australia.
All right, mate.
Yeah.
All right, Cobba.
Yeah. So
give me your emeralds, Cobba.
So I'm curious if Idris Elba is going to keep his British accent, or he's going to try to do an Australian one. Or
he's good because he was in The Wire, wasn't he? So he's really good at doing an American accent. He's got his own accent.
Yeah, Australian's not. He was in the American version of The Office.
He was good in that, wasn't he? He was a bit of a bad man in that, a bit too. He played it well though.
I mean, Australian's not really a stretch for him. He could probably do it, Cobba. Mate, you know. Yeah, a lot of Americans have called me Australian over there. They're like, "Where's your accent from? You Australian, mate?" I'm like, "Yeah, Cobba," and I just pretend to be Australian.
Ben, have you seen the UK version of The Office, the original, by any chance?
I have not. No.
Oh, I recommend it.
It's too short, man. It was like basically, the US Office is crazy long, right? There's like loads of series. I think there was only about two series and
about 6 episodes,
and a Christmas special.
I think it's about 14 episodes in total. But I recommend it. Yeah.
Ricky Gervais is in it, so if you like Ricky Gervais, then you'll like that. Yeah. So, that's our recommendation, mate. Yeah.
Office. I mean, I like The Office, but I'm not a giant fan of The Office. My girlfriend's more of a fan of it. I was more of a big Parks and Rec guy. When
I've heard that's good.
I love Parks and Rec. Yeah, Leslie is like she's my heart there. You know,
she is.
Me and Les.
Ron Swanson is my spirit animal.
Yeah, I think he is for a lot of Americans. I
just love it how he just like stare. I mean, even though I totally it's funny because we all have his character, Adam Scott's character, and his character in mine. We have a namesake because he's Ben and I'm Ben.
Yeah,
and he's also a big nerd. I'm a huge nerd, so
he's such a nerd, Ben, but he's amazing, isn't he? He's
like when he shows up in the Batman costume, I'm like, that is definitely something I would do.
Yeah, you would. And you'd invent your own board game that's ridiculously difficult that no one ever got, and you do that, right?
I don't know if I tried inventing a board game, but I think I bent the rules to a Harry Potter Quidditch game to make it a little more fun.
Nice. Yeah. Nice. Spike ball. Yeah, get a spike ball. Put on flames. Put the little Quidditch, but it's flames. Your snitch, it's flames. You have to grab it with your hand.
Yeah, you get the dark mark if you hold it too long, maybe.
Yeah, we like Harry Potter too, surprisingly.
No, we do. Yeah. I do like Harry Potter, actually, yeah.
The tour is well good. That's something that we've got in the UK. The tour is real good. Yeah,
the Warner Bros. Studio tour over there, right?
Yeah, it's real good.
My son, but we bought that's his Christmas present. Birthday present.
I don't think he'll be watching this. I think we'll be okay.
So we bought him another tour. So yes, last minute it was a baby, so it's really good. Yeah, recommend.
Yeah. Good.
All right. Yeah. So going back to our console journeys, Adrian, you talked about how you had the Spectrum and then the Amiga. What else did you have after that?
Oh, I also got a Mega Drive as well.
Okay.
Genesis, which was brilliant. And again, it was one of that. It was like an early Christmas. It was a Christmas present, and we got to select it as well. Me and my two brothers. And so good. We got Sonic 2, Earthworm Jim, and Zombies Ate My Neighbors, which was brilliant. Then we soon got Super Street Fighter 2 very soon after that. Those 4 games really. I've got other games, but they were the bedrock of my Mega Drive life. Loved every single one of those games completely. Then I went to PC gaming. Sorry, Ben. I know we're not allowed to say those 2 words here. I was a bit of a PC gamer. I know. Look, Duke Nukem, Doom. Again, from my
They're good games though. Let's be honest. Doom and Duke Nukem.
Look, don't do the Amiga anymore. That's long gone. I'm playing this now. I was like, what on earth's that? And he had a PC. I was like, blown away, mate. And I couldn't believe it. I got a Jaguar in between actually. Atari Jaguar, which is a bit of a weird part of my life. But
they didn't sell many of those. I mean, they sell about 200. No, hang on, they can't be 200,000.
250,000, I think.
250,000. That's all they sold worldwide.
And I did own for a bit of my life, which I'm an idiot, but you can call me an idiot now. A Jaguar CD, it's very extremely rare add-on that you can get on top of it. So sold it recently. I'm going to regret that, I think, but. One of my favourite things I've ever owned, really.
I mean, you talk about preserving ET. If you preserve one of those Jaguar CDs, I mean, they're worth about £500 now. Yeah, maybe a bit more, really. About $600-700, and then in a couple, another 5. I don't know.
There's
the
only
way things are going.
10,000 out there, so who knows?
And they fall apart. Apparently, you need good people to look after them, all the capacitors and stuff in them. So if you don't get them serviced, then.
I don't know about the CD because, like you said, the CD, the Jaguar CD is super rare. Even here in the United States, one of the stores I follow, it's a retro game store. One of the places I want to take you when you eventually come over here, is they just got an Atari Jaguar, just the base version, no CD and a few games to it, and I believe they were selling it for $435, and that's just. And that's loose. It's not in the box, but also they also have a bunch of games with it, and I think those games go for a bit because, I mean, I
don't want to undercut them, but you can get a PAL one for cheaper. Actually, I don't think they're region locked.
No, I don't think.
I think they just had one.
There's 1 or 2 games apparently on the Jaguar CD. I think there's one game, maybe Dragon's Lair. But
the cartridge one, I don't think is PAL or NTSC, isn't it? It's just how it works. Yeah. So you can get one.
I'm not 100% sure because the Jaguar, I have one of the good thing about going to Retro Gaming Expo is that 9 times out of 10 they have a bunch of consoles on display with a game inside so you can play them. And the last one of the ones I went to had an Atari Jaguar, and I knew about the Jaguar. I knew it existed, even though I knew about what it was more recently. And I'm like, hey, here's a Jaguar. I've never played a Jaguar before. I want to play it. The first time I held that controller, it was bonkers.
It is a mess. It's a telephone or something, like the old school telephone with what are they thinking? I don't want it to be different, but
that thing was almost bigger than my hand. And I'm just I'm thinking what the hell is with Atari and putting number pads on their controllers? I get it back in the early 80s with the 2600, the 5200, the 5800, the ColecoVision, and all this other stuff. It's they have number pads because you had to use numbers to input in the game. But okay, that's sure you still had a little knob to move your character and everything. But look at this Atari Jaguar that came out in 1994. number pads were obsolete by 1985 thanks to the NES.
I think a lot like it does lend itself quite well to things like Alien versus Predator when you need to switch weapon and stuff.
Yeah, because Ben, you put the inlays on top. I'm sure you know that. You put the little...
So the ones that use the pads come with a little inlay you put on the top, and it shows you kind of how you use it more. So it's like having a quicker weapon select. So say if you like playing Doom, that you can just like press a button and you literally get the big gun and whatever. But so for those it kind of worked, but don't know, it could have just worked a bit more on the UI or like the user interface a bit more and just done away with it and just had a good controller.
Like the game I played was was Tempest 2000.
Yeah. That's a great game.
Tempest is an amazing arcade title. I absolutely every time I see a Tempest machine, I'm like, I'm gonna play around at Tempest because I actually enjoy that game. I think it's a beautiful looking Atari game. Playing Tempest 2000, it was weird.
It is often regarded as the best Jaguar game,
and it's the best Jaguar game.
That or Alien versus Predator usually one of those two games, or maybe Doom as well. To be fair, it's good port. But yeah, no, Jeff Minter made that. What a legend! Yeah, it's a good. I like it. I know it's not everyone.
The Atari Jaguar is just like it's one of these things of Atari's bad decisions. It's one of it's like a legacy of Atari's bad decisions. Give it to people with a dev kit. People had to learn how to program on it before they could actually even make a game. And then those kind of limitations, we've spoken to a lot of Jaguar developers, and they all say like the limitations of what they could do on it kind of hindered a lot of the games that were developed on it. Whereas if Atari just said and just actually like came up with a kit that did a lot of the work for them, then they would have had a lot more games on it. It would have been more successful. But in hindsight, but that's what made the PS1 so popular, wasn't it? So when Sony did the PS1, they made sure that to the big games houses, they had a dev kit. And then, there you go. So easy. Go and do it. Make some crazy looking games.
Also, CDs were, because I was watching a video on this last night, or this morning technically. It was easier to make games for because there was more memory space. Like Final Fantasy 7. You mentioned Final Fantasy 7 earlier. And
3 CDs, mate. That's a lot of data for that game.
Three discs worth. Of course, back in 1997. No, when did Final Fantasy 7? Yeah, it came out in 97. But back then, like Square and Nintendo were like this. Almost every time Nintendo had a console, it's like Square's like, yeah, we got Final Fantasy 6. We got all these amazing Final Fantasies. And then when Nintendo's like, hey, we're gonna still do cartridges, Square was like, no. See you later.
That's why, I know. N64, I love the N64, but
it's so hindered by being on cartridge. I don't even know how they did Resident Evil 2 on it. Resident Evil 2 on the N64 is a marvel. How on earth they got everything from that game on there? I have no idea.
It blows your mind, doesn't it? Every time we talk about it, you're like,
they use so many tricks. I think they use so many programming tricks and things to get that on that cart, and I'm like, thanks guys for bothering, but was it worth the effort?
It was a good.
It is a good port. No, it is a good port, even with the N64 controller.
I mean, speaking of N64, and that's on my console journey because I got my N64 after my Game Boy Color, my NES, and the PlayStation 2. So the N64 was done. The life was over, but I really wanted it for one reason and one reason only, and that reason being Pokemon Stadium.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Majora's Mask or something.
Pokemon Stadium is still a great game, though.
They're remaking, aren't they? They're making a new one for the Switch.
That was Pokemon Snap.
Yeah, it's Pokemon Snap. I was just testing.
Just testing, yeah. Ooh, yeah.
I mean, if they make a new Pokemon Stadium for the Switch, I'm like, yes. But,
yeah.
But I was a Pokemon. But yeah, Dylan, I was a Pokemon kid growing up. I never played Ocarina of Time or Majora's Mask until the 3DS remakes came out, and those are oh god, so good.
I just can't. I mean, the Majora's Mask thing. I tried to get in Majora's Mask, but you spend the beginning of the game as a Deku Scrub, don't you?
Is that
what's that? You've got that. You've got the Majora Mask.
Yeah,
there he is.
Got the Majora's Mask.
There you go. And I just like, what? Just be Link for a second, please.
Don't be a Deku Scrub.
I couldn't do it, but Ocarina of Time, I've gone with it a bit more, and then I don't know why I gave up on that. I played that quite a bit.
Every Zelda game I've given you, you just never catch on.
I don't. You've given me about 5 or 6. You've lent me. I've given
like this
back.
one.
No. Breath of the Wild. Yeah. Sorry, man. Go on.
No. If there's one Zelda game that I could recommend that might or might not break the streak, if it doesn't break it, I'm not going to get mad at it. But for me, because this game is a very near and dear to my heart, because this game got me out of my own little gaming funk that I had in the late 2010s. That got me reinterested. If I did not play this game, we probably would not be here talking today.
Okay.
And that is The Legend of Zelda: A Link Between Worlds for the 3DS.
Oh yeah, you lent me that, didn't you?
Oh,
It
you
didn't work. Ben, it didn't work. I loved it.
Damn
It
I absolutely adored that game. And I agreed. I thought, this is the one. This is going to sway
It
Dylan.
was impressive, but again, like me and the DS don't really get on that great. So that was the end of that, mate. But I did have Link's Awakening on the Game Boy.
Okay.
I did quite like that. That was quite a good one just to sort of play on the go.
Yeah, I got the remake for this. I got the remake for the Switch, and I absolutely loved it. It was so much fun.
Yes, yeah, completely. And actually, the Minish Cap. I don't know if you played that, Ben. That's a Zelda game I played most recently on the. What was it again? It was the
Minish Cap.
Minish Cap was on the
3DS?
GBA, wasn't it? Advanced.
Yeah,
Game
GBA.
Advance.
I have
So
not
good.
played the Minish Cap, but I'm hunting for it.
Get it, mate. Get it. So good.
Yeah, unfortunately, that game is a little on the spendy side loose. That's like going for $94 American. It's expensive. I mean, the game is expensive, but also it came. If my memory serves, the Minish Cap came out later in the GBA's life, so not a whole lot of copies were made. And I mean, it's a great game. People who owned that game, they held on to it. They haven't sold it. But if Nintendo comes out with a remake of the Minish Cap, done. Buying that sucker instantly.
I thought they did. That's why I thought it was on the DS or something. No, they haven't remade it yet.
I don't think they have made it. I had to get it for my GBA. So
I might try that. I've got these like dodgy GBA carts you can get from China.
No. I'm not. No. I for me as a collector,
the 201 ones. I've got. Get someone of those.
Ben, shake your finger at him.
No, I'm not gonna shake my finger. All right, hold on a second, because I have a.
We can't hear you, mate.
I have a bootleg cart from Singapore.
Ah, there you go. There you go.
Color bootleg cart.
They're so good.
I got this when in Singapore when my dad and my parents bought myself and my brother our Atomic Purple Game Boy Colors, and because we were begging for Game Boy Color, only because Pokemon Gold and Silver were on the way, and we want to see things in color. And my mom would constantly remind me, "Is like, but Ben, when you got your Game Boy, I asked you if you wanted to wait. I would have gotten you the color instead."
That's just harsh, man. You don't want that.
Being an impatient child, I said no.
You don't want that.
Game Boy now.
I guess if I hadn't been impatient, then I would have got a Genesis instead of a Master System. So there you go. Impatience never got a kid anywhere.
Yeah, but speaking of my original Game Boy, here's my original Game Boy.
Nice,
Lovely
mate.
color.
Beautiful.
I know.
I've got the same. Yeah.
And also my original Pokemon Red.
Yes, mate. Yes. My So my girlfriend had the Game Boy Color in that color, and she's given me that. So that's that's why we're still going out.
Nice.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it would have been done. Yeah.
She has an Atomic Purple Game Boy Color. My roommate, he has a teal Game Boy Color. And one of these days because he gave this idea, and I really like this idea. I really want to play because he wants myself to play Pokemon Red, my girlfriend to play Pokemon Blue, and my girlfriend plays Yellow, and then he plays Blue because he still has his original Blue version, and all three of us play together, fill out the national decks.
Nice.
We haven't done it yet, but it's one of these days.
You should do it because that's the only way that you can get all of them, right? So you just do it. Do it.
Yeah, maybe one of the very rare times it rains here in Southern California. It's
we get rain all the time. We can send you some. We'll send you some rain, and you send us some sun. Yeah.
No, we're in the middle of a drought. It's really bad over here. We
mate, then we'll definitely send you some.
Please.
Yeah, we'll definitely do a swap.
The northern half of my state is on fire.
I know it's real bad. I know we know about it.
Ben, Atari Legend a couple of weeks ago. He's like, if you see smoke on my screen, it's not. Don't worry, it's just the forest fires outside.
It's just the forest fires. What? I mean, just rain for the love of God! Someone bring some rain. Oh.
Everyone talks about how great the weather is here in Southern California. I'm like, I'm not gonna lie, it's gorgeous weather, but man, there would be some great times.
I know, mate. I know. Just the world we're living in at the minute. We just have to keep talking about games and just pretend everything's okay. Everything's fine, guys. We just talk about games. Everything's fine. Yeah, don't look at the fire. Don't look at the fire.
Yeah. So, you guys talked about going back to games because you guys have talked about the Sega Mega Drive and how that was because the Mega Drive or the Genesis was super popular in Europe, whereas over here in America, it was at war with Nintendo, with the Super Nintendo. I definitely grew up as a Sega kid or wanting a Sega because my next door neighbor had a Genesis, and I'm a huge Sonic fan, obviously.
Yeah, nice.
But unfortunately, I never owned a Genesis or a Super Nintendo until I got my minis. But I did have I had 2 Sega consoles growing up, and one of them is my absolute favorite. But unfortunately, it died, and the idiot I was decided to give it away to a thrift store because I'm like, oh, it's broken and I'm never going to fix it. And that's the Sega Dreamcast.
What had gone on it?
Why?
The laser broke. The laser.
Mate, you could have just lifted that out and put a GDMU in it. Oh,
well, unfortunately, I wasn't privy to that information at the time.
Oh, Ben. Ben. I've got my Dreamcast with the GDEMU in it is fantastic, man. Just fantastic. It's just
powerful machine.
Yeah, you don't have to worry about obviously like the discs and stuff, and you can just load on it what you want. Mate, I feel sorry for you.
The Dreamcast and the Nintendo 64, because the N64 unfortunately was loaned to one of my brother's friends, is now lost to time, sadly. So that with my entire collection of games. So it's that and the Dreamcast are the 2 retro consoles I want to get. I want to rebuy. I'm willing to put some money down because the Dreamcast, when the Dreamcast came out, to me, I didn't really go into the Sega Saturn because there was no Sonic title for the Sega Saturn outside of Sonic Jam. Now Sonic Jam being a great port of the original 4 Sonic games, I say 4 because I'm counting Sonic and Knuckles as a separate entity. It was
they were ports, weren't they? They weren't actual sort of like the same one like brought over, just that they were actually like redrawn and everything, weren't they?
Yeah, they were. Yeah, they were ports, and I'm not really counting Sonic R because that was just a racing game, which was also on the PC, which I owned and I played and I liked it. But now that I'm older, I could say it's like, hey, I loved that game, but that game is still a hot pile of garbage.
Yeah.
So bumpy. But Sonic R aside, the Dreamcast was my big ticket item because Sonic Adventure, 3D Sonic the Hedgehog. I was at a store and I looked up and I saw a strategy guide for Sonic Adventure 2. I'm like, oh my god, there's a second one. And I'm begging my parents for the Sega Dreamcast, and my parents are like, you have a PS2, you don't need it.
Oh, I mean, this is what I think what happened to the Dreamcast, isn't it? It's like, you already got a PS2. Just come on, PS2.
Plus, also, like the PS2 could play DVD, so it's like, well, it's the DVD player as well.
They should have stuck a DVD player in the Dreamcast, shouldn't they? That was easy to say now, but...
so you're gonna love this. So we actually had a DVD player in my house already. It was
so you didn't even need it. Oh, I didn't even need it. Yeah, for me, I needed one. Like I needed one. So the PS2 was just you both machines, don't you? It was an easy choice buying a PS2.
Yeah, we bought the DVD player. It was a Christmas present for my father for Christmas one year, and we got him a DVD player, and we got a few DVDs, and then I want to say 2 years later is when we got our PS2.
Fair enough.
So we got our DVD player, like I want to say around the beginning when DVD players were coming out, and we didn't get like a high end one as far as I know. I don't know how much my mother paid for it. All I know is that one Christmas Eve night, we were plugging the DVD player up to the TV, and it's like, hey, not only can we watch movies, we can also play music on this. And it's like, oh, this is really cool. And then the PS2 was announced, and then it said, hey, we can play DVDs, and my parents were like, well, shit.
I bet they did.
My DVD player or Blu-ray player broke about a year or two ago, and it's about Christmas time. And mine was like, "We got to watch Home Alone. It's almost Christmas." So I was like, "Don't worry, we got the PS2." And it wasn't on Netflix or anything at the time. I don't know why. One year it wasn't on, and I was like, and I put it on. Oh, it's so grainy.
Yeah, the output on the PS2 is not good on the HD TV.
This is not going to work very well.
You should have dug out your CRT, mate. You should have dug out your CRT. That would have worked all right.
Right in the loft again. So yeah, it didn't. I made do for about 5 seconds. I was like, nah, I guess it ain't gonna work.
Nah, dude, I didn't start buying Blu-rays until I got my PS4 because I didn't have a player at the time. I would still be buying DVDs because I had my brother's Xbox 360 before it got the Red Ring of Death, and
that.
And there were times where my friends were like, "Oh, just buy the Blu-ray, just buy the Blu-ray." And if I did buy a Blu-ray, I would make sure it was the Blu-ray DVD combo because I didn't have a Blu-ray player.
So you get the DVD as well. Man, I remember when they used to do that. Crikey, they've grown out of that now.
Those were the days. And now that DVDs are essentially just fizzled out, and I have my PlayStation 4 now. I'm waiting to buy my PS5. It's like, I don't have to worry about buying another player or system because I have my game system that plays Blu-rays and DVDs, no problem.
Buying a PS5 is a funny thing, isn't it?
That is a problem.
So I haven't really...
We know some people have managed to get one, so it's not completely impossible over here, but it's almost impossible.
It's not impossible over here either, because 3 out of the 4 co-hosts of the Fake Nerd podcast have PlayStation 5s in their homes at this very moment.
There's a word
I am the one who does not have it. There's 4 of us, and I'm the one who's out.
There's a rude word for them.
No, there's no rude. There are no rude words for them. It's not the fact that I can't find the PS5. It's the fact that I can't afford a PS5 at this moment in time.
Yeah.
And I'm not. I mean, I could, if I really wanted to, I could probably just use my credit card, just go and get a PS5. But I don't want to because I want to. Because I'm not just going to get the system and the game. Because when I go get a PS5, eventually, I'm dropping money. I'm getting the system. I'm getting the camera. I'm getting a whole lot of games for it, or at least maybe like 3. Because I want to get Miles Morales, Demon's Souls, Ratchet and Clank, maybe a few others when they eventually come out. And also, I want a camera for it because I want to stream. Because I stream on Twitch, thankfully, through my PS4. But now that the PS5 is so much easier, it's easier to do. It's like I'm willing to drop the money. So I want to get it. I want to get a headset.
Save up, mate. Yeah, save up. We're gonna need about a couple of $1,000s. Yeah, do it, mate.
Maybe not a couple. At least maybe it's gonna probably go around like $900 to $1,000 when I do eventually get all the stuff. But that's down the line. I'm willing to wait a little while. My PS4 still has a lot of life left in it. It's an amazing console.
Oh yeah, I love my PS4.
I absolutely love my PS4. And my girlfriend and I, we recently made a trip out to Florida to visit my younger brother. He has a PS5. That didn't help.
It's so much quicker apparently. Yeah, it's like lightning, like running stuff on it. But mate, just wait a little bit longer.
We played Astro's Playroom, and that was already a fun game. And when we were playing through it, we were like, "Whoa, the controller can do this!" And just like the haptics of the controller were amazing. And he also has a PlayStation VR, so we were playing Beat Saber. That was the big hit on the trips, and we were having an absolute blast playing Beat Saber. So I'm talking to my dearly beloved girlfriend about once we get the PS5. She's like, "Yeah, we gotta get the PSVR." I was like, "Well, let's wait for the PSVR until the new version of the PSVR comes out."
Yeah, I would. Wait till the PS5 one. Yeah.
And once we get that, then we're gonna get Beat Saber and all this other cool stuff.
Like the plan,
mate. Keep saving.
No,
we're behind you 100%. You can do it.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Oh, it's got really dark here. It's almost nighttime over here, mate.
It's getting darker over for you guys.
It is. We're like. We're gonna actually start our recording session in a bit. Oh man, I'm just I don't know if I could talk for another 5 hours. I probably could. I'm gonna have to.
Yeah.
Just like go to the shop, get some coffee, and you'll be fine.
Exactly.
Mate, have you drunk our coffee over here? I don't know. No. It's not the same, mate.
No, it's not. Everything outside of America is different.
It's so different.
It's like nuts.
You guys got so much good stuff over there. Like I'm always finding myself importing like American snacks and stuff. It's standard,
It's funny because we try, especially on the West Coast, we find ourselves importing more Asian snacks than anything.
Oh man, they're good as well. Oh yeah, I got a whole cupboard full of like Korean stuff and like Indonesian stuff and Japanese stuff. It's so good.
Yeah, we have a market close to my house, and we go there a lot, and we just like perusing the Japanese snacks and the Asian snacks, and we're just going yoink. Like there's these really good, I want to say Korean potato chips that are like hollow, or excuse me, crisps that are hollow.
Yeah. Thanks. Yeah,
you're welcome. I told you I know the lingo.
You know it, mate. Yeah.
It's like when I go to London and someone says, "Oh yeah, the petrol station is just up there." And like, okay, cool. And my friends
petrol.
are like,
you know what petrol is?
I know what petrol is. Yes, I know what a lift is too. It's like, oh yeah, just take the lift. I'm like, okay. And it's like, but Ben, that's the elevator. Yeah, here it's called the lift.
The lift, mate. You're on it.
Biscuits.
Yeah,
biscuits. You're on it, mate.
Trousers. We're wearing our trousers.
Trousers. Yeah, we don't have pants. Are our underpants, as you know.
Yeah.
So when we say we've dropped our pants, it's real bad.
Yeah,
it's real bad. Yeah, when we've dropped our pants.
Yeah. Also, and it's for you guys. It's
Ooh,
not the
doorbell's ringing. Sorry, Ben. Talk to Adrian for a second.
Oh, doorbell's ringing.
Dylan's dropping his pants.
I was gonna say, here in America, it's called the trunk. Like the back of a car is the trunk, but for you guys, it's the boot.
It is the boot. Yeah, open the boot.
Yeah. Yeah, so when I eventually go to London / because the plan is to go to London for a few days, then tour southern England and Cornwall.
Cornwall's lovely.
Yeah. When I eventually do get over there, I'm gonna be like, people are gonna be, they'll be like slinging all this lingo. I was like, hey, I know what you mean. I know what that is.
Hang on.
Oh, we got. Sorry, it's got James making my apologies.
Sorry, guys, I've just got a substitution.
All right. What is this, a football game?
James is in.
Hi.
James.
Hello.
Hi, Ben.
Try and at least get just one of those.
We will try.
And
There we go. We're plugged in.
Dylan's been
this is
relegated.
Keith, right?
No, this is James.
James.
Yeah.
Hi, James.
How you doing?
Doing great. Welcome to Basement Arcade pause menu.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Right. Hey.
We got
hello.
live.
Hey, we
Hey, you
got
can see our
live.
faces now. Hey.
Yeah. So of course, James, you're an hour and a half late, or late to the
Or early for the next one.
or early for the next one. Yeah. So we were talking about console journeys, and then we just like went on amazing tangents, and we were talked about how Dylan's freezer is broken. That was a good.
Oh,
That's the
we didn't know about that.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, we were talking about console journeys, and we're probably gonna be wrapping up here in a bit. But what about you? What's your like console journey if you have it? Like, what was the first video game console you had, and what were the consoles you got throughout your life? Because I still have a bunch on my list that we didn't even touch, but that's totally fine. We can come back.
Wow.
To it if we want.
Wow. What a question. So I was about 5 or 6 years old, and my parents actually bought me a Amstrad CPC 464.
I have no idea what that is.
Oh, fantastic. So essentially, in a nutshell, like a basic home computer, but it played cassettes, kind of ZX Spectrum type thing. And, at the time, I thought it was just absolutely amazing. I had a whole collection of games for it. I carried on collecting games. And then that's how I kind of got into gaming, really.
Mm-hmm.
And then went on from there. And then went on to things like Master System, Mega Drive. I've got a younger brother. He then got into Mega Drive as well, and then moved on through PS1, PS2, and then I flicked over to Xbox. I was a bit of a turncoat, so sort of diehard PlayStation fans will be like, "Why did you change?"
Oh no.
But
so that was the exact same thing that happened to my family, because my family, we had the PS1, we had the PS2. Nintendo was mostly handhelds, and we had the NES. The NES was a bit of a mix-up because for Christmas one year, I asked my dad for a Super Nintendo, and all he heard was Nintendo. He goes to his sister, my aunt, and she gives him her old NES. Come Christmas morning, I open up, because this was like the big present for me that year. I open it up, and I see this gray toaster, and I'm like, that's not the Super Nintendo. But I'm surrounded by my family, and at the time, my mom's side of the family, they're from Montana, which is northern United States. And they're a little more, it's a very rural community. So it's like, you better be grateful, because if you're not grateful, we're taking the present away. And I didn't throw a fit, thankfully. I was like, well, be thankful. So eventually my dad pulled me aside. I was like, was that really what you wanted? And I told him the mix up. But if that NES became the hit of Christmas, my 60-some-year-old grandmother was playing Duck Hunt.
Oh,
yes.
Okay. All of us were taking turns, because we had a collection of games. Like we had Super Mario Duck Hunt combo cart. We had for some reason we had 2 copies of Super Mario Brothers 3. We had a slew of games with that my aunt just had, and she wasn't playing anymore, so she gave them to me. And I'm happy to say I still have that console to this day. I plan to turn that into like a little museum piece when I eventually move into my own house. I have a little bit more space. Because for me, the NES, for what it did for video games here in the United States especially, is just phenomenal. That needs to be preserved.
It sounds like a blessing in disguise, the way, Ben, maybe.
It definitely was. And it was awesome watching my grandfather, my grandmother, my dad, and a bunch of my cousins all just take turns playing Duck Hunt. And also all of us getting into it playing ice hockey on the NES.
Oh, yeah.
And you'll never forget those memories, let's be honest.
Oh, no. It was an amazing Christmas. I will definitely say that. It started off, I'm like, I'm a little bummed out because this isn't really what I wanted, but I gotta be grateful because I don't want to get taken away. And it turned into one of the biggest hits that the entire family got into. And even when we go visit other families' houses, they would ask us to bring in the NES.
Local gaming celebrity.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're like, oh yeah, cool, totally come over our house, bring the Nintendo.
We don't really want Ben to come, but he has to come to bring the NES.
Yeah, that was a good year. That was a very good year. But yeah, going back to being a turncoat for PlayStation, we also did that because when the PS3 came out, especially here in the United States, it was an awesome machine, but even for a $600 price tag in 2006 was just death steep for us, especially for the highest end model of the PlayStation 3. And then we look over to Xbox, which is only $400 and much cheaper, a better, and it had essentially a better, at the time it was a better library and a better online experience from what I remember. And then you have the Nintendo Wii that came out as well, saying like, hey, this is for more casual, it's easy to get, and it's also $100 cheaper than the Xbox. So one Christmas I got my Wii, the following Christmas my brother got his Xbox, and we skipped PlayStation entirely until the PS4 came out.
Yeah,
so,
I mean, I don't have any. The only PlayStation I've got is a PS2 at the moment, but yeah, I've got a relatively powerful PC, so okay.
PC Master Race. No, I think the sort of, it wasn't a change, but I had a PS2 and an Xbox at one time.
Oh, nice. And
I remember being really into the PS2 games. They had a fantastic library, and I was really impressed with some of the stuff that was coming out. And then an old work colleague suggested the Xbox to me, and I hadn't even considered it. I was like, really? Okay, So we gave it a try, and again, as you say, great library. I like the interface. I like the fact that it looked a bit kind of dark and mysterious. It was a bit, it was a completely different type of console. And then I just kind of followed it from there. I sort of jumped straight on the 360 bandwagon. And again, they had some good launch titles, but some more came along afterwards. And Microsoft were really sort of, hammering at it then. And I don't know, PS3 just, it wasn't even sort of considered. And since then, I've very much been on the Xbox kind of train, and that's how it's been. I've got some close friends that have got kept up to date with the PlayStations and whatnot, and there's been a bit of a to and fro with the libraries and the reveals and stuff like that. But yeah, that's where I've kind of ended up. But in terms of how I got there, yeah, that's a sort of a rocky road of various different consoles.
Yeah, me and James, we used to. Good friends at high school, and we used to always play his Master System together.
Master System, just fantastic.
James had a massive library of games.
Your Amiga.
Yeah, we've spoken about that. Yeah, so me and James go way back, and we've always played out each other's game stuff. So good.
Yeah, great memories. I mean, so, along the same sort of lines as your NES for Christmas. I mean, I got a Master System for one Christmas, and at the time I was kind of, I hadn't had a console per se, so I was a bit like, what do we do here, sort of thing. And then once I started getting into it properly, that was it. I was hooked, and sort of built my collection up, and then we started playing all the 2-player games. I was borrowing games and telling and that's how the advertising was done, right? It was all word of mouth at the time. Kids just basically shouting out games to their friends. And it was just so exciting. It was just so, I remember going to Toys R Us, and going in and just looking at the shelves and being like, just overwhelmed with excitement. Like, I'm going to buy a game. this is literally like, my life is complete.
James, I cannot tell you how many memories I have of walking in Toys R Us with birthday money, with Christmas money, or end of the school year money. Because there would be times where if I got really good grades in school, my dad would give me $50, or when I would go from elementary school, or here in the United States it's called elementary school, for you guys it was primary school, going from primary to middle school. I don't know if you have middle school in England. Do you guys have
we do have, I think there are some, okay. But I think it's mostly primary to high school. Yeah,
primary to high school. Okay,
into college.
Yeah, for us it was elementary, middle, then high school. But yeah, when I went to the next stage of school, when I would air quotes here graduate or promote, my dad would slip me $100, and every time I get that $100, it's straight to Toys R Us, straight to the video game aisle.
Yes.
And just looking at making sure there's at least one ticket left, because you get the ticket, you go to the register, then they give you your game. It was the best.
Oh, it was the ticket. That was you just felt so powerful, didn't you?
You felt like Charlie Willy Wonka.
I got the golden ticket.
Yeah, or even when I went to like other stores like Kmart, because before Kmart went out of business here in the United States, one of the best finds I ever had was Final Fantasy VII. I bought my copy of Final Fantasy. It was the greatest hits copy. It was a reprint, but it was $5 at Kmart.
Wow.
It was stupid cheap. And I was with my mother at the time, and I'm like, hey mom, can you give me that? I mean, it's only $5. She's like, yeah, sure, I can give you that. It's $5, and easy's $5.
That was a keep. The whole caboodle's here.
The interloper.
Yeah.
All of Arcade Attack is finally here. And
It's like assembly. Yeah, all the bots rolled out.
But my question would be: Has Final Fantasy VII ever been $5, £5, $5 anything? Has it? That's an amazing steal.
If it was at an actual retailer, yes. Secondhand market now, no.
No.
Yeah, so I essentially got my copy. It was either for $5 or $15. Either way, it was stupid cheap, and I was a fool if I were to pass it up. I did not. I still own it to this day, and I'll never get rid of it. That is a Final Fantasy game.
There's another museum piece.
It wasn't my first Final Fantasy game. My first one I ever played was Final Fantasy X. But if we want to get really technical, the game that got me into RPGs or JRPGs in general was Kingdom Hearts.
Good.
Yeah, Kingdom. I mean, of course, when it came out, I was like the perfect age because I still am a huge Disney fan.
Yeah, that's the Mickey Mouse one, isn't it?
Yeah. So like when I'm watching the commercials and I'm seeing like, oh hey, you could fight alongside Mickey Mouse and Donald and Goofy, and you can beat the crap out of Disney villains. I'm like, yeah, that's the game for me.
I want a piece of that action.
I've heard really good things actually. Game on page recently.
I absolutely adore and I absolutely love.
So many great stories.
Yeah.
This is only a few minutes. Like I feel, it's great.
Man, yeah. So we're about hitting the time because I try to keep these episodes to an hour and a half, and we're already running like an hour 36 right now. And man. You guys got to come back on the show.
I'd love to.
Mate. Ben, thank you. Really enjoyed it.
Yeah,
we have to get you back on our show, maybe, like reciprocate the offer. Come back on ours and share your lovely story as well.
And carry on.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, I'd love to carry on. Brilliant.
Yeah, I would love to. I would love to come on your guys' show. That would be awesome.
Yeah. I'm sure you can, Ben. Really appreciate the offer, and obviously the time zone as well. I know it's a little bit early for you, so thank you so much. And should we get away from Dylan? I think we're saying goodbye now, basically.
And Keith, the interloper's over there somewhere. Oh, he's going to say goodbye.
Keith's going to be the mysterious one.
Ben.
Stop trying to fill in my ears, James. Mate, thanks for having us. I'll just say thanks for having us. We'll see you around. Come, hit us up in London.
Yep. Yeah, I will definitely be. I will definitely, once I finally do make it over to London, I'll definitely be hitting you guys up. And if you guys ever come out here to the United States, to Southern California, hit me up, let me know, and we're going to have a great time.
100%. Yeah. It's got to happen, right?
Well, yeah.
Make it so.
So where can people find Arcade Attack on the internet?
Well, we're on all good podcasting platforms. So Arcade Attack, obviously, and it's Spotify, iTunes, and everything really. And we've got a website, arcadeattack.co.uk, which is other stuff, plus interviews, reviews, and obviously our podcast is there. Got a YouTube channel, which is all right. And it's quite, honestly, Arcade Attack is the place to find us. And we're pretty good on socials, and there's Instagram as well, isn't there, James?
Yeah, we're fairly fledgling on Instagram, but there's a lot of content on there, and all sorts of bits and pieces. But Facebook as well for all sort of chat and kind of updates and stuff like that. So yeah,
chatting to people. So if you want to shout us saying what did Adrian say that stupid thing, we can take it.
Yeah, don't be afraid to pipe up.
Yeah, exactly. No, thank you, Ben. Appreciate it, mate.
Of course, thank you guys, and of course, you guys could find. Obviously, like and subscribe to the show. Also follow Arcade Attack. These are awesome dudes. They have a great show. I absolutely love it. You can follow me personally on the internet at BenMagnet27 on Instagram and Twitter. The Mothership Show, Fake Nerd Podcast, you can find them or us really at Fake Nerd Podcast on Instagram and Twitter. Fake Nerd Guys at gmail.com if you want to get in touch with me personally. Also, we have a website, FakeNerdPodcast.com. Links to all of our shows are there. We have a YouTube channel, obviously, and links to we have a TeePublic, our Patreon's there. All the stuff is on FakeNerdPodcast.com. Once again, guys, thank you so much. Love to have you back on the show. Open invite. Just hit me up. Let's continue console journeys. That was fun.
It was fun, yeah. No, you got a very good magnetic personality, Ben.
Oh,
I chucked it in. How many times have you heard that?
I think actually that was the first time I heard
it. No, but Ben, thank you, mate. It's been so fun and appreciate inviting us on your show. It does mean a lot to us.
Great to meet you.
Great to meet you. Great to meet you. Meet you too, James. Wow, I even got tongue tied. I only had like one little drink. I should have brought water with me when I came up here to do this. Bloody hell. All right, and anyways, thank you again, guys. Love to have you back on. And for now, unpause.